How's everyone doing? This is Joe with Ohio Woodburner. I'm out here at the wood yard today, guys. I just thought I would just give you a quick tour. This is going to be a light week for production and deliveries because the first weekend of October is the Paul Bunyan show in Cambridge, Ohio. Cambridge, if you ask Google, it says it's 2.5 hours from here, but I'm telling you guys, if anyone can drive this in 2.5 hours, you got a helicopter. It's not, it's not an easy drive. It's not a direct drive. And there's some weird traffic patterns in Akron and Canton that you would have to deal with. And you'd really have to push it to get here that fast. But I will be doing some limited deliveries this week. I probably won't be making any firewood by myself. More of that here to come. But I will be getting ready to head down there. I also have some family things. My youngest daughter, who goes to college about 4 hours this way, I have to bring her home on Friday for fall break. And then I will be at the Paul Bunyan show on Saturday. Saturday, I will be at the Japa tent, the Metsa Machine tent. I will be there from 12 to 2. And I hope that if you are in or around the event, stop over at the tent and see me. Over the last, I think 2 years, I can't think now, maybe 3. I think this is my 3rd year there. Over the past 2 years, we had a huge turnout of people coming out to see me and checking out the Japas. And I hope that that continues this year. I'll be down there too with, I won't be going with him, but we'll be hooking up down there with Dan from Back 40. And we're going to try and maybe do something with the podcast while we're down there, the Woodhounds podcast. If you're not listening to the Woodhounds podcast, why aren't you? We are on every major streaming service that's out there, like Pandora, Apple iTunes, Spotify. And really, if you just Google thewoodhounds.com, you'll get to our own website that has all the episodes on there. But here I am down here in the shade. This is where I had placed the axis in a previous video. And I've forked all of the big logs back into here. And my hope is, as the usual tradition goes, on Thursday, my good friend Outside with Shibe, who is the hardest worker I've ever met, he will be here. Dan from Back 40 will be here. And we're going to just do we'll be filming our own videos. And I don't know if I can have a live stream. If we have the live stream, guys, it may not be from here because what the heck, I don't have a cell signal here. You know, I was just watching on the news. 7 years ago, we launched a spaceship that went like 1 billion miles, and it orbited an asteroid floating through space, and it orbited this asteroid for 2 years, and then it landed on it. It collected a sample of rocks that were on the asteroid, and then it lifted off, and it flew back to Earth, and it landed in the desert in Utah so that we could study the rocks. We can do all of that, but we can't get a cell phone to work in Northeast Ohio. What the heck, man? I couldn't do that live stream for our open house, if you recall, because I just couldn't even get a signal out here. We are close to the Air Force Base out in Youngstown, and I think this makes this kind of like a quiet area for cell service. I don't know, but that's one of the problems. But here we are. You know, I'm walking by these. This is where we're currently building right here. These are, I keep calling them 10 cord sections. There might be actually more in here. I do not, as practice, measure my firewood when we stack it out here in the yard. The wood is measured when it goes on to the truck. And that reminds me, there was the customer who got he ordered 1/3 of a cord, a face cord, and he stacked it all out and it was short. And he called up the guy that delivered it, and the guy says, oh no, it was 1/3 of a cord when we stacked it out when it was green. It shrank when it seasoned, so that's what you get. It's like, no, man, that's not how it is. 1/3 of a cord is 1/3 of a cord. But when we stack wood like this, we don't waste any time with measuring this stuff out. It saves a lot of money with making those racks. So I don't have to like have a bunch of 8-foot sections, you know, for racks. I just stack everything on pallets and we just go. And I stack it as high as I'm comfortable with. If it gets too high, they get a little tippy and they just go. Just think about all of this firewood, what it would look like in a gigantic pile, you know? And I'm just saying, people want to complain about stacking firewood, but serious guys, there is nothing else that we do that makes our firewood worth as much as it is than by stacking it. Stacking it just creates so much value for your firewood. So like, you know, here's some cherry and you can tell it's getting seasoned out. It's bleaching and it just looks awesome. There's no bugs, there's no mud, there's no mushrooms. It's just nice, clean firewood. The other advantage to this is when I don't measure it on these stacks. I measure it on the truck. And when I pull the truck in here broadside, we can have that truck loaded, a whole half of a cord, have it loaded in 15 minutes. That's how fast it goes. It's just, and if you think about if this wood was in a gigantic pile, you know, you're going to scoop it up with a front end loader. That's just an estimate on how much wood is actually going into the order. Here, the order is correct. It's accurate. The customer knows that what they're getting is what they're paying for. And you know, it looks awesome. And there is that presentation wow factor when you pull in on a delivery and the load is neatly stacked in the truck. It's just like at a restaurant, you know, when they call it plating, when they bring your meal to you, when everything looks nice and well organized on your plate, it creates that value. And the same thing goes for firewood, guys. Huh? This all looks great. So here we are. This is where I was running out of space and we laid, these are 2 triaxle loads of logs that were placed parallel to the road. Here these were 2 loads of logs from log hauler Jesse, and this was kind of full at the time, so he just laid them off to the side. In a perfect world, I got some extra space here for another 10 cord section of firewood, but it's just the way the year went, so we're just going to deal with it. And this was the initial pile. I am pretty much done with the muddy logs. That was the original 5 loads that came in. What I had done, I think because I was just avoiding the muddy logs, I was working the subsequent loads that would come in. And I think I've had 8 triaxle loads of logs that have come in that I worked ahead of, you know, where the muddy logs were. But I'm pretty much through the muddy ones. There's a couple stragglers in there, but this is mostly the stuff that came in behind. It's pretty nice stuff, a lot of nice straight logs. And these are the offcuts. I, as a practice, will cut the end off of logs that just might be a little bit too big to fit through the Japa, or they got that big flare on it. I'll cut that off because it just makes life go a lot easier. And these will be eventually taken to my own woodshed to heat our house for the winter time, which was one of the things I had calculated into the risk of starting a firewood business. Was this is also a way I can heat my house. So the company, you know, my waste, those offcuts, will be going in to heat my house. The reality of value added firewood is you wind up with a bunch of these offcuts or uglies, where a lot of firewood companies would just throw those into the existing order, and we don't do that here at Ohio Woodburner. Our firewood looks awesome, and that's why we're able to charge as much as we do. So I got the live deck loaded up for a new run on the machine. I'm just going to let these set here until Shibe shows up. I got some work, I got a big list for him to do. This is the basket of offcuts. So these are the ones where, so the Japa makes perfect 16-inch length sticks, and sometimes you have a little bit of leftover. So these are called your offcuts, and I just turn around and throw these into the basket. And then the basket, I fork it into the back of my truck, and I take these back and stack them in my woodshed. So here's the 405. What a great machine, guys. I couldn't I cannot picture a more perfect firewood machine for the way that we make firewood here. I have started saving these little skinny pieces that come off the top of that perfect split knife, and I'm saving these for kindling. I think they look nice. You know, they're all 16 inches long, and you can sell these for a nice premium. I had just forked the totes over and dumped them, so that I'm ready to get these put underneath here and get ready to make firewood again. And here is that rusty Griffin trailer. It still does its job. It's still road legal. It's structurally in excellent condition. New tires. The brakes are good. I get it inspected each year. But just the paint looks terrible. Looks very bad, doesn't it? But that does remind me, guys, this will be year number 3 for All Roads Lead to Ohio live stream. All Roads Lead to Ohio 3.0. And expect that on Friday morning, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that because some of you know that the cell service here at this yard is very bad. So we may not be able to get a signal, and I think if we can't get a signal, I will maybe we'll just shoot a video and I'll try to get it put up immediately onto YouTube, or we might relocate and go to my old wood yard, and there we'll run the super splitter for you guys. I'll have some giveaways. As is the tradition here at Ohio Wood Burner, we give stuff away. And we have a very generous industry. I have every sponsor gives me things to give away. And I certainly have that reputation. So that is All Roads Lead to Ohio 3.0. I like it. And that's going to be on October the 6th, 2023, 9 a.m. That is Eastern Time, USA. I hope to see everyone logged in and participate in the chat, guys. It'll be a fun time. So all these totes, well, this is empty. I dumped this one. And then the sawdust I had dumped, but I had still got some sawdust in it. I dumped the sawdust the day before I dumped the others, so there's some sawdust in it. The extractor comes out with some serious force, and it kind of, you know, makes the sawdust lay in there like that. So it's not as full as you think it is. I think eventually I need to get this cleaned out underneath the live deck. A lot of this bark will pull off, and I just want it to look nice. And I've learned too, where I used to have the machine at my old wood yard, it pays. It's not just for standards, you know, for cleanliness and for trip hazards. One of the benefits of keeping this clean is sometimes these hoses, you know, you can blow a hose or a fitting can come loose, and it's nice to know that it's leaking oil before it runs dry. And you are much more likely to do that when, you know, there's not a lot of sawdust underneath it soaking it all up so that you can see it. During my runs, a log which looked like a maple when I loaded it turned out to not be one. So these are 2 oaks that I've just, when they were on the rollers, I just rolled them backwards and just plopped them onto the ground. And whenever I do an oak run, we will load those up. If I ever get an office, I would think like one of those nice house-looking kind of sheds, you know. This is a nice, flat, paved area. I think it would be put up into here. I just like it up in there. I also like it down there where the shade is, but, you know, if I had a nice place where I can just hang out here, and if we ever do open up for the public, that could be like the office area. Here's my container. Love the container. I don't know how the lighting will be if I walk in. The tractor I keep in here. And I found that these magnetic things really work. I found a magnetic paper towel holder. I got those magnetic hooks. And I have the magnetic hooks on the ceiling that's holding up my lights. And I've also just purchased more lighting. And I will be putting them in here and get a lot more light, because it gets dark in here at night and it's hard to see. And, you know, it's starting to get late early around here. That's my sign. Man, are those things expensive. I haven't even put it up yet. My plan is I'm just trying to stay off the radar right now. I'm not in a position to service drive-in customers, so I'm just not putting my sign up. I got a permit to put it up. I got the frame, everything's ready to go, but when that day comes, I will certainly have it on the video. But if you guys get a chance, I would like to see you at the Paul Bunyan, man. Come on down. From my understanding, there's going to be a few YouTube channels of all your favorite channels will be there. There's going to be a lot of them, huh? This week, this is where I stack my oak, and I'm going to be ready to run another 2 loads of oak. I have all the logs set off to the side. When I dig through that pile, if it's oak, I move it over, and then I'll just run all my oak at the same time. And I got my pallets down by good friend Dale from the Firewood hut. He lives down in what we call Zelly, Pennsylvania. It's down by Pittsburgh. He had brought all these up, and we got them ready for the oak when we get the oak run. But there's going to be a lot of people at the Paul Bunyan show, guys. And not only that, but I think that you don't even really need to have an interest in firewood to have a good time there. It's just a blast. These big machines that just make noise and just they have like those chippers that make mulch, and I mean they'll stick a tree that's like 200 years old and it'll just make dust out of that thing in like 2 seconds. You feel sorry for the tree. They're just everything and anything firewood is down there. But you know, timber, the big trucks, the harvesters, everything, and it's just a lot of fun. Here's more of the pallets that Dale from the Firewood hut brought me. You can see his channel. He puts up an occasional video, but he is a very nice man. I've gotten to know him because of YouTube, one of the benefits of the job. But did I tell you what where these pallets came from? These pallets came from a casket company. So I told Dale, I said, if my sales die, I know who to blame. And lastly, I have this basket. I had this set next to the big pile, and whenever I would cut the butt end off, it would go into here. I forked these down to the axis. So these are going to get split, go right into my truck, and I'll take them over to the wood yard. And you see, yes, I need more baskets. Otherwise, I wouldn't have those other offcuts laying on the ground, but that's because I just, you know, there's only so much I can do. I have committed to myself that I'm a sole proprietor. I do what I can, and I'm happy with it. You know, I think the day is going to come where I have employees. It's not, I'm still not there yet. I have people that help, but I don't have employees. But I think that day is going to come, and the day will come too where I got my sign up there. And I think the day will come too where you just see a lot more firewood coming in and going out. All right. I have said this before too. I am not fooling around, guys. I feel like I'm onto something, and it's like the old saying, you know, when opportunity is knocking at your door, you open the door, and that's what you're seeing right here at Ohio Woodburner. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and please, if you are going to be at the Paul Bunyan, stop in and see me at the Metsa Machines Japa tent on Saturday from 12 to 2. After that, I'll be walking around for a little bit, but then I got to get out of there and go home and get ready to go, you know, drive and pick my daughter up. She goes to school out east. All right, guys. I hope everyone has a great day.